Toshi Omagari is a 14-year-old kid living in the coastal town of Enoshima with his grandpa and little sister. One day, he sees this mysterious girl who looks like a bird flying around the coast. He goes after her and finds her stuck between some rocks. Turns out she can control the wind, and apparently she's being hunted by these agents from an organization called the Sky Shishenzu, which is led by this enigmatic woman named Hibiki Amamiya. Now let me rewind a bit, because there's something really important that happened before all this, like way before. You see, about 200 years ago, this island was hit by a massive storm that wiped out most of its population. But afterwards, people started to develop these supernatural abilities tied to nature. And ever since then, kids have been born with these powers, like elemental powers. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, because these kids are basically hunted down and taken away by this secret government organization called the Sky Vision Group. The reason they do this is because of this prophecy that says that one day a child will be born with the power to control all four elements, who will either save or destroy the world. So naturally, the government wants to find these kids with powers first, so they can decide what to do with them, for the greater good and all that jazz. Anyway, back to the story. This wine girl, whose name we now know to be Kaede, turns out she's one of these kids with powers, and when the agents show up looking for her, Toshi promises to help her escape. And just like that, they team up and set off on a journey to find out more about her powers and where she came from. Along the way, they meet up with some other kids who also have powers and are also running from the Sky Vision Group. There's this water guy named Shun Matsui, who's kind of a bro. Even though he's super chill, he's got a pretty sad backstory. His village got destroyed by a typhoon, and his mum died in the disaster. The only reason he's still alive is because he was away training with his grandpa, who's also a super powerful dude with water powers. Then there's this Earth girl named Yuna Ishigaki, who's like the tomboyish type and has a crush on our main character, Toshi. And finally, there's this fire girl named Ren Asano, who's the hot-headed type, both literally and figuratively. She's kind of like the wild card of the group because her powers are a bit unstable and dangerous. Anyway, they all team up, and together they're able to take down the agents and their robot dogs. And along the way, they learn that their powers actually come from these things called vistosas, which are basically like ancient relics that are hidden all over the place. These relics are super important because they hold the key to unlocking the true potential of their powers. Now, while all this is going on, we also learn more about the main villain, Hibiki Amamiya. She's a super powerful ice user who's kind of like the mother figure of the Sky Vision Group. Turns out she's also connected to the prophecy, and her ultimate goal is to use her powers to create a new world order. As the story progresses, the stakes get higher and higher. The kids with powers are not only hunted by the Sky Vision Group, but also by other organizations and even by each other. It's a non-stop game of cat and mouse with lots of betrayals and shocking twists along the way. The animation is pretty great, with lots of cool action scenes and fight choreography. The powers are visually impressive, and they really make the action scenes stand out. The soundtrack is also fantastic, with an amazing opening theme song and a bunch of other great tracks that really set the tone for each scene. The voice acting is top-notch, with a great cast of characters, and they do an amazing job bringing them to life. Overall, if you're into shows about kids with powers who go on adventures and fight bad guys, then you'll probably like this one. It's got everything you could want. Cool powers, great action scenes, a solid soundtrack and a good story that keeps you engaged. Plus, it's only 12 episodes long, so it's a nice change of pace from the usual hour-long anime shows. However, it's worth noting that this show is part of a larger franchise that includes movies and other spin-off shows. So if you like it, you might want to check out the rest of the franchise too. Now let's talk about the characters. Our main character, Toshi, is a pretty typical shonen protagonist. He's a determined and brave kid who's always ready to stand up for what he believes in. He might be a bit naive at times, but he's got a good heart, and he's always willing to help those in need. Kaede is a pretty interesting character with a mysterious past. She's a quiet and reserved girl who doesn't open up to people easily, but she's also super determined to find out more about her powers and where she came from. Her relationship with Toshi is really sweet, and it's one of the highlights of the show. The supporting characters are also pretty great. Shun is the lovable bro who's always ready with a joke or a helping hand. Yuna is the tomboyish love interest who's tough and independent, but also super cute. And Ren is the hot-headed troublemaker who's kind of like the wild card of the group. Now let's talk about the plot. The story is pretty straightforward and easy to follow, but it's also full of surprises and plot twists that keep you engaged. The pacing is pretty fast, and there's no unnecessary filler episodes. Each episode moves the story forward and builds up to the next one. One of the best things about the story is the world building. The show does a great job of creating a unique world with its own rules and lore. The powers are really cool, and the ancient relics add an interesting twist to the plot. Now let's talk about the animation. The animation is pretty good overall, with some really impressive action scenes. The fight choreography is solid, and the powers are visually impressive. However, the animation quality can be a bit inconsistent at times. Some scenes look great, while others look a bit cheap. Another thing to note is that the show can be a bit violent at times. There's lots of fighting and some characters get hurt pretty badly. This might not be a big deal for some viewers, but it's worth mentioning just in case you're sensitive to that sort of thing. Finally, let's talk about the fans. Overall, this show seems to have a pretty decent fan base. It's got a solid rating on my anime list, and there's lots of fan art and cosplay out there. However, it's not as popular as some of the other anime shows out there. And that might be because it hasn't been around for as long, or because it hasn't gotten as much promotion. All in all, I think this is a pretty solid anime show that's definitely worth watching. The powers are cool, the action scenes are exciting, and the characters are well developed. If you're looking for a fun anime to watch, then I definitely recommend giving this one a shot. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Do you like this anime? If so, what are your favorite moments? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, then make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more content. And if you want to watch another anime review, then click one of the videos on the screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.